Hello, Bob Purdon again, talking about the management structure and the guide to particularly coaching, because coaching I find or found in a lot of dealerships was not a formal position. It was there occasionally. Dealerships would have meetings occasionally, but it was not a formal position, which I believe is required to reach our full potential. What really takes a lot of our attention is the administrative side of the business, all those items that I mentioned that we get involved with. But coaching is an intangible. It's not calling on us necessarily to do that. It's something we have to initiate. But the key is, what's the focus? In our opinion, the number one focus of an automobile dealership, not the only, but number one, is the selection of an automobile. So all priorities, all arrows, all roads lead towards selection. So anything that we can do to enhance the ability of a product specialist and a customer to say to themselves, that's the one I like, that's what we're looking for. And if we increase that factor, then we are going to certainly have a lot more business, that's for sure. We talk about advertising and doing a lot of things to increase the business, but the most effective thing that we can do, that we can actually touch on, is to handle the customers properly, which means specifically the non-buyers. And that's really what counts. So first of all, does the dealership have a solid direction they're going in? Is the selection of a vehicle the number one priority? Because only when that happens can all other factors come into play. Next, we talk about training. The manager's getting involved in the training. And what's the training? It is the document that we talked about. Making sure that they have a particular process that's published, that's available, and sitting in front of everybody so they can all relate to it. And we talk about process. The management is a team, in our opinion. So as a team, the manager's coming from the same process background, and will they all talk the same language overall to the product specialist team that is going to obviously make the difference. So the first physical item that we put in play to really identify the key to the selection and the key to the selling effort, particularly with the non-buyers, is, as we see, the sales desk. The sales desk puts the effort of doing the function with the customer, the job with the customer, getting the process unfolding. The desk is the position that identifies that this is formal. And the reason we put the desk there is to service the product specialist with their customer handling issues, to let them know there is an office that is open to handle those people. There's a person there to assist them in getting the job done that they want to get done and we want done. So the sales desk, first of all, the location is near the sales floor, but isolated from non-sales process customer handling issues. All of those issues that we talked about that catch our attention because they have to be done, obviously, can draw away from all of this. But the sales desk is, in itself, by being there, is the cashier of the sales department. Like any cashier's office, the public is not running around through it. The people aren't all coming through it. It's kept isolated so that it can concentrate on what? The specific job that it's required for, which is to make sure that we support the product specialist. The desk should be covered in shifts. A person can't sit there all day, every day, and not get worn out, really. So it requires shifts that somebody can go in there, give it their best effort for a number of hours, if whatever it is, and then have somebody replace them with a new intention of energizing that office. So The desk should be covered in shifts in order for managers to perform their administrative functions off the desk. So all those administrative functions are necessary, but it should be separate from the position of really helping the salespeople do their job, product specialist. So the desk puts the concept and the focus on the process is what it does. We have what? We have a professional career path. It's not maybe, it's not intangible, it's tangible. And the professional product specialist career path really talks about what we're doing and why we do it. So these are the functions. This is the role of the product specialist. This is where it really happens. We identify the greeting. We identify the type of product looking for. We identify the features desired. We identified the benefits and how we show the features and benefits of the automobile, the demonstration itself, the selection other than price, no charge regardless of the buy intention of the customer. All right, other than price, there's no charge. Just tell us which one you like. Document the selection. Make sure it's on paper. Then we leave the customer to research the price, because that's all part of our presentation, whether they are buying or not. We're going through the same process as we would with the buyer that we do with a non-buyer. Because we know if we're not going to close them on the first time, that the be-back ratio is much higher than the first time they were in anyway. So our function is to present the process, not worry at first whether they're a buyer or not. If they're a buyer, the process will develop that. We don't have to ask them. They'll come and do it anyway. It'll come up to the surface. When they want to talk money prematurely, that means prematurely means before they see our numbers. We sidestep a challenge to the numbers and an inquiry on the numbers with a customer because we say, let's wait a moment. I'm going to research the price. Why? Because I don't want to gamble with your money. I'm going to research the payments because I don't want to gamble with your money. So we're letting them know that we don't want to guess with them. We want to be specific. And that allows us to leave them without identifying any numbers. I don't want to talk numbers specifically before they see our number first. Then when we present the numbers, in most cases, because they're trained to do that, they'll give us a negative reaction and an offer. It's really not a negative. It's a last position before they ultimately agree and take the vehicle. But when they give a negative reaction and they begin to focus on me by saying you, your, whatever, I say, excuse me, folks, I just want to identify something. I didn't build it. I didn't price it. I'm not a banker. I'm representing what the numbers so tell me, what did you have in mind? But please, I'm not the bad person. I just want to earn your business. So we ask for and write the offer, present the offers to the manager. And what's the key to the offer? It's not the offer, it's how they arrived at it. That's the key. Because we're not going to discuss numbers, we're going to discuss rationale. That's how we can move them if they want to be moved. So this poster is placed, this game plan is placed in the desk office. It's at least 2 feet by 3 feet. It's a big poster so that we can all sit there and review any aspect of it we want at any given time. So it really is the highlight. It is the focal point of why we're in that office to begin with. So it's a big deal having that sit there and having the product specialist know that they can come there at any time with a customer-related issue and we will pay attention to them. Coaching. More specifically, what is coaching? This is what Tom Landry, a great coach of the Dallas Cowboys, how he defined it, which I agree with 100%. A coach is a person who can influence and or make people do the things they don't want to do when they don't want to do them in order for them to get where they want to go. So it's not always a positive experience, but it's the consistency of it that makes the difference. How many habits are being formed going in the right direction? It's so important to consider these product specialist group as a team, because it's how they operate individually and collectively that is the front line of the dealership, and that reflects ultimately the bottom line. If there are no selections, if the process is not completed, what good are all the other features that we carry, including the building? So the reason that they're out there is to give us the reason to utilize all of these tools and aspects and talents to allow the customer to do what? Take delivery. And that will be ultimately the measuring stick. So the front line is the bottom line. And the quality and the training of the front line will certainly reflect to and on the bottom line itself. And that's how we feel. Now, we're always going to be recruiting product specialists. And what we have to examine is the unknowns. And what do we mean by examining the unknowns of this person in front of us? Has he or she had good experiences or bad? We don't know specifically. They may relate it to us, but we don't know. How about knowledge of maturity? How mature are they in handling issues? Can they get through those rough spots? That's what counts. Knowledge of what? What kind of work habits do these people have? Where do they want to go? Where do they want to get to? Am I going to have to push them all the time, or will they take over and initiate the action themselves and motivate themselves? We don't know yet. Where are their strengths? Where are their natural strengths and natural weaknesses? We don't know. It could be at the beginning of an interview. It could be during the interview. It could be, who knows? It could be the follow-up. It could be negotiations. We really don't know how they're going to react until they actually get into the play itself. But it's something we want to be prepared for. And what kind of capacity do they have to follow directions? Are they going to really accept what we're saying and really give it a great attempt to accomplish something? Or will they be kind of rejecting what we say? We don't know yet. So there are many factors, professional, personal factors that we're not aware of until this person actually gets in the game. After they join us, after these people come to us. Now, what's the difference between before they come and after they come? It's the training they're going to receive as they approach the dealership. So after they join us, are they going to be getting more effective? All of those things that we shared with them, did they understand that this is closed-end training? What is closed-end training? Closed-end training is what I'm sharing with you is what we expect you to give it an effort to accomplish. So we're not asking them to do anything they can't do. We're asking them to do the things they should do. And that's what they have to read from our training and from our presentation. This is not optional. This is what we want them to accomplish so they, as we said, can get where they want to go. Are they getting better at following the process? Or are they starting to convince management that this is not the way you told me it is? So are they getting better, or are they starting to give me exceptions to the game? Are they not pre-qualifying the customers? and telling me and the manager at the desk specifically that these people aren't buying today because of. So are they coming up with are they starting to separate in their head the non-buyer from the buyer and giving it an appropriate effort or non-effort? Are they selling the customer more than the sales desk? So many times we observe that they come in and let the desk know that they can or can't do this. It's more on the can't side. And they're preparing to present their case to the manager rather than talk about doing what the manager asked. And more important than anything, are they making more money? Are they getting stronger to themselves? Is their confidence being built? Are they more positive? Now, one of the things we want to identify is why we could be working too hard as far as the product specialist is concerned. The reason we often are working too hard because we're basically overcoming product specialist shortcomings, what they didn't do, what they didn't know how to do, whatever it may be. And that's something that can draw our attention anytime. How many product specialists truly do a great job consistently with customers? The great job that we identified, that career path sheet, that career path process, who really follows that as best they can and gives it a solid effort? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Now, most of the time we have out of 10 people, as an example, we'd have 2 that are self-managers. They really do give it a good job. They really work hard. They need minimal management. But 80% of a sales force needs a lot of management at a critical time. So how many do the job and how many have to be influenced in getting the job done? What's the strongest factor in working with product specialists? How do I have the strongest influence? And how do I have the least amount of influence? Psyche, self-confidence, ability to perform at the high level is at its lowest because of low earnings. If a person is not getting where we want them to go, and for whatever reason they're not producing the income that they are capable of or need, then of course they're turning away from us. So we have to remember that what we're doing is designed to give them the highest earnings possible, and that's why coaching and having them do the right things is most important for them and us. They're learning. They're in a process of learning how to handle these situations. So there's always resistance at times in learning something. So I have to know that I have to be the strongest influence in getting the job done that they may not want to do at a given moment. How do product specialists improve? It takes time, obviously, but it has to be consistent. Because constant assistance in executing the process. They have to know that I'm there to help them. I'm there to advise them. But the process is what I'm looking for, okay? So what do they understand? Where do they have their strengths? Where do they have the weaknesses? I want them and myself to know that we are pursuing this at all times, getting them better. Assisting them personally on how to overcome roadblocks, mental, verbal, physical, in doing more business. So what challenges did they have in following the process that we've identified? Where is the challenge? Why is the challenge there? Is it a physical? Is it mental? Verbal? What is it? And then we want to discuss it with them and get it cleared up as much as possible. Then we have constant influence and enforcement of a formal documented process. The poster that I talked about that they should have a copy of anyway, but posted in the desk office, is the formal documented process. This is what we want to accomplish with most of the customers. We know we can't get them all through it, but that's what we want to do, lead them. And most of the time, they don't cover it all because we stopped doing something that we should have done. So I have to influence an enforcement of a formal documented process. What kind of a posture? What kind of a posture should we have? And what's the dividing factor between the management team and the product specialist team? Why is the relationship so important? Because we have to offset the negative challenges that they have. Remember, most of their customers will not buy the first time in. It's not a negative. They aren't prepared. They're shopping. They're looking. They're comparing. They're doing all of those things. And the closing rate is much lower on a first-time customer than it would be on a returning customer. So I have to make sure that they are giving the best effort they can give on the first-time customer. I didn't say, oh, are they a buyer? I said, what car did they select? What vehicle did they select? That's all I care about. What vehicle? So they have to know that the most important issue in handling any customer is, what did the customer accomplish while they were here? So I have to lean on them and influence and push them sometimes to complete a presentation that requires a coaching discipline. So I can't always be exactly with them as we're talking about this. It has to, you will or I want you to, one or the other. And if I'm too close to them, then they would, oh, wait a minute, Bob, remember we were out there? I don't want to get into that. So I'm not on their side when it comes to socializing. I'm on their side when it comes to professional approach. When they start to improve and handle the non-buyers better, they're going to find out and experience a feedback flow and write-up that will prove to be successful. And why is the posture of a manager so important? Because it comes into play more when they resist what I'm asking rather than following what I'm asking. So I have to be in the right position to be able to guide them and influence them and demand sometimes that they do the right thing. And I can't do that if I'm too close, personally. My experience personally, having been appointed a manager, the dealer's first recommendation was to me, do not socialize with product specialists. People that I had been working with before, do not socialize with product specialists. Why was he right and proved to be right? Because the next day after I was appointed, my best product specialist friend quit. So I learned the lesson immediately. Keep your distance personally from the product specialist. Make sure that the line between management and product specialist is there. I want them, my job is to guide them professionally. That's my job.